Hi everyone, welcome to all 4C learning classes. This is Zoology, session 13, third chapter. Today we'll discuss lymphatic system. Today we'll discuss the lymphatic system as one of the topics of session 13, lymphatic system. Lymphatic system. In general, the body fluids in the human body can be considered to be the lymph and blood and lymph. So far we have discussed the blood and its functions as well as the blood clotting process and blood related blood groups. Now it is the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system is an open type of system. It is an open type of the system. What do you mean by that? It means generally the circulatory system, the blood vascular system, the circulatory system which can be of the blood vascular and lymphatic, which are said to be the closed and open type. Closed in the sense if the blood flow through certain blood vessels. Look at here, this is the artery, which is arteriole and capillaries, and then it leads into capillaries, venules, and it is what lead into the veins. So look at here, these are the capillaries, and these are what the arterioles, whereas this is arteries, and this is capillaries, venules, and this is veins. So the blood flow through certain blood vessels. This is the way the blood flows. That is what name it to be the closed type of circulatory system. But the system, the fluid system, the body fluid system, in which the blood, that is the fluid flow in the blood and lymph that flow in the open sinuses, cavities, is referred to as the open type of circulatory system. For suppose, for the first time closed type of circulatory system happen to be takes place in the case of the annelida. Annelida are the two segmented members, the little ring-like the segmented members in which the closed type of circulatory system first observed. Whereas in the case of arthropoda, the blood present in the open sinuses, cavities, which is said to be the open type, which means if the blood flow through certain blood vessels, it is a closed type. When it flow in the open cavities or sinuses, which is named to be the open type of circulatory system. So here also the lymphatic system is of the open type. A lymphatic system is a system which is consists of the network of the capillaries, microscopic. They include lymphatic system is said to be the open type of circulatory system. Now, let's see what is the detail of this. Generally, these are the arteries. Arteries have the arterioles, and arterioles are with the capillaries. Look at here. These are what said to be the capillaries, and these are what said to be the venules. Look at here. So these are the arteries, and these are the arterioles, and these are what named to be the capillaries. These are what considered to be the capillaries. capillaries, whereas these are also the capillaries, and this is a venule, and this is a vein. So through this the blood flows through this the blood happen to be flows, the blood flow through this. The blood flow through certain blood vessels. In this connection, we say it is a closed type of circulatory system. This is general, the detail of the what is called the closed type of circulatory system. So, the arteries are the blood vessels that carry the blood to the different parts from the heart to different parts. Look at here, arteries, arterioles, and the capillaries. So arteries are progressively in a decreasing diameter towards the tissues. Look at here, these are all what are the said to be the tissues. Whatever you are observing, these are all what are said to be the tissues, or extracellular spaces, or intercellular spaces. This is the tissue spaces. So arteries what results in arterioles, then into capillaries. So progressively they decrease in diameter, whereas the veins are progressively in increasing diameter. So as the blood flow through the arteries, arterioles, and capillaries, then it is continued with the capillaries of the veins, venules, and veins. This is what a closed system in which the blood continuously flow, which comes under the closed type of circulatory system. For the first time, closed type of circulatory system observed in the case of the annelids. Now the point we came across is the lymphatic system. Lymphatic system is a system which consists of microscopic, look at here, the diagram we observe is look at here. They are a lymphatic system is a microscopic. A lymphatic system is a microscopic, blind-ended, porous capillaries, which are what said to be the lymph capillaries, lead into lymphatic vessel, and that lead into lymphatic duct, and that joins the general circulation. Look at here. This is what we see as a so lymphatic system is a system consists of lymph capillaries. These are what said to be the lymph capillaries. These lymph capillaries lead into lymph vessel. These lymph capillaries lead into lymph vessels, and lymph vessel lead into lymphatic duct, and this drain the fluid collected, that is the lymph, which is drain into the venous blood circulation, which means generally lymphatic system in which the lymph is said to be what is called it is an accessory route, or else it is the middleman between the tissues and the blood. Lymph is considered to be the middleman between the tissues and blood. and it is also considered to be the accessory route. Accessory route. What do you mean by that? Let's see how the lymph is the lymphatic system, where the lymph capillaries, lymph vessels, lymphatic duct, what forms. So, the blood that is flowing through the blood vessels, arteries, arterioles and capillaries, as they are progressively decrease the diameter in the capillaries of the artery, there increases at the arteriolar end capillaries. At the end of the arteries, the capillaries generate the hydrostatic pressure. Due to the hydrostatic pressure generated at the arteriolar end, the fluid from the blood diffuse into, look at here what I have drawn a diagram is diffusion of fluid with the fluid with nutrients, fluid with nutrients, water, nutrients in the sense glucose, amino acids, fats. Next, apart from that, nutrients. Next, some proteins of micro-sized or some small-sized proteins, oxygen are diffused from the capillaries of the arteries into the intercellular spaces or extracellular spaces, or the spaces in between the tissues are what name it to be the intercellular spaces. These are all what tissue cells. These are all what the diagrammatically you are observing in between the capillaries. What we find is a tissue cells, which are named to be the intercellular spaces. So the blood that is flowing through the arterioles and capillaries, when it comes to the arteriolar end capillaries, the diameter decreases. Naturally, hydrostatic pressure increases at the arteriolar ends. This increased pressure, what causes the filtration? This filtration causes the filtering of the fluid containing nutrients, small-sized proteins and oxygen diffuses into the intercellular spaces. This is the method of the transport of nutrients to the tissues. Has the maximum amount of as water, nutrients, small-sized proteins and oxygen supplied to the tissue fluid or else the tissue cells, the spaces in between the cells, the remaining enter into the veins as it is. It is with the large-sized proteins. Why? Water, nutrients and small-sized protein, oxygen diffused. Only large-sized proteins entered into the capillaries of the vein. Always the osmotic pressure of the blood is to be maintained. So here the positive pressure which causes the filtration of the substances along with the fluid from the blood into the tissue cells. The same way, once the fluid diffuses into the capillaries of the vein, due to large-sized proteins, it causes the colloidal pressure. Colloidal pressure. It is a negative pressure. It is the negative pressure. Whereas here, positive pressure at the arteriolar ends, the hydrostatic pressure, which is a positive pressure, which causes the filtration, that results in diffusion of water, nutrients, small-sized proteins, and oxygen to the tissues. The remaining as it is diffused into the capillaries, whatever left, that includes large-sized proteins, that includes the large-sized proteins. This large-sized proteins in the capillaries of the vein causes the colloidal pressure. This causes the diffusion of this fluid with water, nutrients, some small sized proteins and oxygen is all what name it to be the ECF or extracellular fluid this is. Why extracellular fluid? As it is present in between the cells. Extra, outside, or interstitial fluid is also it is said to be. As this extracellular fluid reaches into the tissues, as it is the remaining fluid in the capillaries of the at the end of the arteriolar and enter into the capillaries of the veins, where colloidal pressure causes the diffusion of 85%. The negative pressure is created at the venular ends. What I mean to say, arteriolar ends, where the hydrostatic pressure filter the fluid containing water, nutrients, small size proteins and oxygen. So as it is, the fluid enters into the capillaries, whatever left after the diffusion, which contain mostly the large sized proteins, that creates the colloidal pressure. And this pressure, what drive the 85% of fluid drain back from the extracellular fluid into the capillaries of the veins, or the venular end capillaries, where the 85% of the fluid, extracellular fluid enters, which includes the CO2, unnecessary substances are what enter here. Then how much is left over here? 15% is left over at the extracellular spaces, or else intercellular spaces, or extracellular fluid is left with the 15%. Is it right? Definitely. That 15% enter into the network of capillaries. They are none other than microscopic, blind-ended capillaries, name it to be the lymph capillaries, the microscopic blind-ended capillaries, or what name it to be the lymph capillaries. These are, the diagram is showing like this. Is it right or not? These are blind-ended, open into the extracellular fluid. They are porous. The point to remember is a porous. So they are opening into the extracellular fluid. That's what it comes under the open type of circulatory system. So all this fluid, 15% at the extracellular fluid, what through this porous nature of the lymph capillaries, it is drained into this capillaries. Such fluid, such 15% of the fluid containing the nutrients and the fats, particularly the point to remember, as the blood is with 92% of water in its plasma, the fat soluble are not diffused into the blood. Already we discussed it. And remind you one thing, lymph capillary is also named to be the lacteals. The villi which contain an artery, vein, its capillaries, and one more is a lymph capillary. So lymph capillary into which the fat is diffused, absorbed. Long chain of fatty acids are absorbed into the lymph capillaries, first into the epithelium, where they forms into the the fats in the intestinal cavity forms into the miscellaneous or emulsified fats, which are diffused into the epithelium of the villi. From there, by exocytosis in the capillaries, the epithelium, where they undergo the transformation to form the globular protein coated chylomicrons. Miscellaneous formed in the intestinal cavity or diffused into the epithelium of the capillaries, lacteals, where they transform to form chylomicron. These chylomicrons, exocytosis, enter into the lymph capillaries. Lymph capillaries carry the fat. That's the reason why what left over the ECF, Fat is mostly present. That fat and fluid, other substances, enzymes, hormones are all what? Through its microscopic nature, thin-walled and through porous, the 15% enter into these capillaries. Such capillaries are lymph capillaries, and such a fluid is what name it to be the lymph. So lymph is in fact originate from ECF. All lymph is not ECF is not a lymph, but all lymph is ECF itself. A part of the ECF become a lymph. Why? ECF also drift into the capillaries of the veins, so that cannot be the lymph. Lymph is the ECF that enter into the lymph capillaries, which is said to be amalgam of, it is an emulsion of triglycerides, and it is what also said to be the triglycerides in the sense of fats that present in the lymph capillaries is named to be the chyle. So lymph is a amalgam of, emulsion of the nutrients, particularly most of the fats, mostly the fat. Next, small size proteins and less blood clotting proteins are present in it. Enzymes, antibodies, hormones is all what the composition of the lymph. In fact, it is generated in the ECF. Through its microscopic, the network of blind-ended capillaries which are porous, the ECF enters into the capillaries which are lacteals, that is named to be the lymph. The lymph is in fact generated in the ECF itself, extracellular fluid, which is of 15%. 85% drifted into the capillaries of the veins. The remaining 15%, which includes the small sized the proteins. Next, it also includes the fat and the unnecessary substances or what drift into the capillaries, which are nothing but the microscopic network of porous, or what name it to be the lymph capillaries or lacteals. Then it is said to be the lymph. So, do you find the difference between the blood and lymph? Definitely. Blood is red colored, but lymph is colorless. Why? Blood is with RBC and WBC, but lymph is with only lymphocytes, that is the leukocytes, lymphocytes only present, all are not present. One point. And RBC, erythrocytes are absent in the lymph. I repeat, the differences between the blood and the lymph is the differences, if we see, blood and lymph are similar in its composition, but in spite it shows, so it is though it shows the similarities, there are variations, differences. That is, blood is with both RBC and WBC. Blood is with both RBC, erythrocytes and WBCs, but lymph is with only lymphocytes. Remind you one thing, WBCs includes acidophils, basophils, neutrophils, monocytes, lymphocytes, but here the leukocytes, lymphocytes only present. That you must keep in mind. Second point, here RBCs are present, but here RBCs are absent. RBCs are absent. Third point to see, the blood is with a large amount of the blood clotting proteins. Large amount of blood clotting proteins are present in it. Large amount of blood clotting proteins are present. Blood clotting proteins are present, but here small amount only, less amount of blood clotting proteins, proteins are present. This is what the differences we find. So the blood immediately clots, whereas lymph slowly clot, right? And lymph in fact it is generated from the ECF. In fact, the ECF is of a blood component itself. That you must keep in mind. So this is how we find the difference between the blood and the lymph. And lymph is what said to be. It is an accessory route. Now we'll see what is that, all the details. So lymph capillaries are the microscopic blind-ended porous network of capillaries, or name it to be the lymph capillaries. These lymph capillaries are similar with that of the veins in the way called, make a note, the lymph capillaries are considered to be similar with the veins. Lymph capillaries and vessels are, and the lymph vessels show similarities with that of the veins, show similarities with veins. I repeat, lymph capillaries and vessels show similarities with veins. In what way? 1. Like veins, they are valvular. The arteries and veins, if you observe, arteries do not have valves, but veins have valves. V-A-L-V-E, I am saying, not W-A-L-L. Valvular. Generally, the veins we are about to discuss, the veins in which the simple squamous epithelium is folded to form the valves. In the case of the veins, so here also veins are the similarity with that of the lymph vessels and the lymph capillaries, and they are also with the smooth muscle. However, smooth muscles are also present in the arteries also. Smooth muscles, they show the smooth muscles. In the wall of the smooth muscles, in the wall of the lymph capillaries, the smooth muscles are present. Lymph vessels that are with the smooth muscles cause the peristaltic movement. This peristaltic movement bring about the ECF containing water, nutrients, small size proteins, and the fat are all what brought into the, that is the 15% of the ECF that is left over at the ECF. The 15% of ECF that is left over at the tissue spaces containing water, nutrients, particularly fat, and the CO2 and other unnecessary are brought about by lymph capillaries through its porous nature. And all these lymph capillaries lead into lymph vessel. Look at here. And this lymph vessel lead into lymphatic duct. I repeat, lymphatic duct. Lymphatic duct. Lymph capillaries lead into lymph vessels into lymphatic duct. Lymphatic ducts of both the sides. You must keep in mind that the extracellular spaces, the intercellular spaces, both are same, which are spread over entire body, right side and left side. So, these, for suppose, these lymph capillaries collect the blood from neck region, next head region, shoulders, chest region. For suppose, let's see, not only these parts but remaining all the parts. For example, the neck, head region, next shoulders and the chest region, from which the lymph capillaries collect the lymph in the sense which is already produced at the ECF, which includes 15%, is what poured drain into the lymph capillaries, since they are porous, and there it is named to be the lymph. Such lymph, its Lymph capillaries, lymph vessels are valvular and smooth muscles we discussed. The smooth muscles cause the peristaltic movement. Due to that movement, all this lymph present in the lymph capillaries drain into lymph vessels. From lymph vessels into lymphatic duct. That is from right side neck, right side head region, right side shoulder, right side chest. In the same manner, left side parts of the head, left side neck region, and left side shoulder, left side parts of the left side part of the chest region, the lymph is collected by lymphatic duct, to which it is drained from the lymphatic vessel, from their lymph capillaries. From there, from the respective side, the chest, neck region, brain and parts of the head as well as the shoulder. And how does this is drained? By peristaltic movement present in the smooth muscles. This is what we see. And all that collected reach the lymph vessel, lymphatic duct. Lymphatic duct of right side and the left side. Right lymphatic duct we do say, left side lymphatic duct we do say. In this, the lymphatic duct is also named to be the thoracic duct, and it is also named to be the chyliferous duct, which is the largest one, large size when compared to between these two. This chyliferous duct of the left side, whereas the right lymphatic duct of the right side collected from the neck, head, shoulder and chest is bringing about, drain the lymph into the venous circulation or veins itself. Veins. And all these veins take the blood by different branches from lower part of the region, higher part of the region, collected by different branches which opens into the postcaval vein and the two precaval veins, which collect the blood into the right atrium to right ventricle to lungs. Since it is with the collected from different parts, include the CO2 that is sent out. This is how the flowing and the collection of the lymph, flowing of the lymph and the collecting from the ECF is all what discussed. Thank you.